Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Chicken Box. I'm your host, Jay. Look, guys, I'm solo this week, but we have a very fun and interesting guest for you guys this week. Let me just read a bit of her background. Iesha White is a professional dog groomer, entrepreneur, and the founder of Hauspups, Hauspups Pet Spa and Boutique, a luxury grooming experience rooted in Baltimore. Raised in the heart of Baltimore City, Iesha overcame personal and environmental challenges that shaped her resilience and fueled her desire to build something of her own. Her journey from adversity to entrepreneurship is a testament to what's possible with vision, grit, and heart. With over a decade of experience in dog grooming and a signature style known for teddy bear trims and Asian fusion cuts, Iesha has become a trusted name in high-end pet care. Online, she's better known as at Iesha the Dog Groomer, where she inspires over 27,000 followers with her skill, authenticity, and drive. Through Hauspups, Iesha is redefining grooming with celebrity-level service, boutique style, and deep community roots. Her mission is to inspire, serve her community, especially young Black girls who dream of entrepreneurship, by showing that greatness can come from anywhere, especially Baltimore. She also plans to launch a nonprofit for homeless children and stray animals, proving that luxury and love can go hand in paw. Iesha, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Certainly, certainly. Thank you for coming. Um, okay, I would like to know the big question here is what has inspired you to do this?
Yeah, so I've actually been studying dogs and animals in general since I was like 9 years old. The main thing that inspired me was I don't really know anyone in my family who's had their own business or who hasn't been in the gambling, drug, prison life of this city. And so I really wanted to change that for not only my daughter, for my family as well. And then just kind of to break generational curses, but to
Sure.
also show that there are other career opportunities out there that people can go for that can be really rewarding if you just stick to it and you stay passionate and do the best that you can to set yourself apart from, your competitors.
Okay. Fair enough. Now, have you long been a pet person, or
Yeah.
was this kind of a thing like, all right, like I like dogs, and then you're like, oh, there's a whole world here. Like, how did that work?
No, yeah, so I've loved animals, especially dogs, my whole life. Like I've gone through a lot from homelessness to domestic abuse and so on and so on. And but the odd part is there's always been a dog in my lab or in my area, some way, somehow. Like for example, I don't mind sharing, but I was left on a porch when I was like 9, and I'm not gonna say who, but like the person, there was a big yellow lab that was with me. She was a little mean, but like in that moment, she was definitely very protective. Thankfully, my mother felt like there was something that just told her to turn back around. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was left on Hilton Avenue, and she turned back around. I don't remember what we did with the dog, but that was just an example of like, even through all the trauma that I've been through, there's always been a dog around. And so a lot of times I did not fit in, especially in school.
Hmm.
And I was like, having a pet, whether it was a dog or a cat, has always made me feel a little less alone, like a little more like somebody wants me at least, if
Sure.
humans don't. And I know it may sound funny to some people who don't really understand, but I honestly feel earning the love and support of an animal is like a superpower to me.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I mean, some people have this like weird thing of like if they see a homeless person and there's like,
Mhm.
oh, they have a dog with them or something, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's terrible. It's like that might be the only thing keeping them, like, yeah,
Alive.
keeping them alive, right?
Absolutely.
That's a very real thing. I remember when I moved from one coast to the other, and like I had my dog, and it was just kind of one of those like this is a familiar thing, and with
Yeah.
all the sort of chaos, it is a very familiar thing. So
Right.
yeah, no, I don't think at least I don't personally take it as just being like something. It's not like a
Right,
gold
right,
or something, right?
exactly. And a lot
Yeah,
of people use dogs like for rehabilitation for addicts or like even I know
sure.
you probably seen some dogs will go into like nursing homes or children's hospitals because they really do kind of take you out of the stress that you're dealing with in the moment. And it gives you something to hold, to pet, to love on. They don't have to talk. You don't have to tell your life story. They'll just accept you right then and there. So.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Our producer actually, Iesha says, do you work with emotional support or service dogs?
I have some clients, like I groom some clients who are emotional support or service dogs. I have only had a slight amount of like training in that world, so
Sure.
not so much. I would love to though. Like I really want to work with like service dogs for veterans, because my dad was a veteran, and I also would love the ability to train like emotional support dogs, like I said, for elders and children who, especially orphans, like children who
Right.
may not have families or may just feel like they're always by themselves, almost like a Lilo and Stitch kind of
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, no, I know, I hear you, I hear you. I mean, look, I think connection is one of the more important sort of human elements, right? And how you get
Absolutely.
that through people, or even if it's pets and stuff like that, it can be very real. And again, it can be the difference between you sort of like falling off and or being on the brink, right? Like for a lot of
Right.
people, they need that human element or the
Right.
connection rather. Um, Now you talked about building. You found it really important to build something on your own as sort of a testament, as
Mhm.
the opposite of the things that you had seen in your life, which is, I think, a very fair point. Were there other thoughts that you had as far as other businesses, or was it just like this just felt natural, like a natural extension of who you were personally?
Absolutely. I'll be 100. I'm very transparent, by the way, but I always wanted to be a fashion designer. Like
Okay.
since I was a little kid, like I said, I would go to the library and literally get books on fashion illustration and dogs. Like that was my favorite
Okay.
thing to do. I would take like 5 books. I was like Matilda with like a wagon because there was nothing
All
really
the
to do.
books. Yeah, yeah. I love that movie. It's cute.
Yeah, like so, I fashion was like my thing. Like I had made this like 3D build out of what my
Mhm.
boutique was gonna look like. I've always been a brand and like business person. I've always been into like business development. So like literally one of my first projects in elementary school, which I believe I won. Like I said, put together like this 3D build out of my boutique. I remember it had like purple sparkly floors, and I used aluminum foil to make like a mirror that goes from like floor to ceiling, and it put a catwalk in the middle of the store, so like customers could just feel like models in my clothes. And I had the business name, colors. I was branding before branding was like
Yeah, I was like, you're like way ahead of the curve.
absolutely. And then I got that those dreams got crushed, unfortunately, because my mother said we didn't have money to send me to college, which I felt was a little unfair because then my sister got to go to college. And then so she wanted me to go to beauty school, and I was good at it, but I absolutely hated doing other people's hair and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
being that close to their face. But I was really good at it. And I even tried like car sales. Like I just never wanted to have a time where I was homeless ever again. Like that was enough. I've been homeless enough growing up in Baltimore, and I was like, once I had my daughter, especially, it's like that's never gonna happen.
Mm.
So I just tried any and everything, and it wasn't until about 2009 that I started to think about like maybe going to school for a veterinarian or being a vet tech. But again, money. You need money
Yeah,
to go to
sure,
school. So
sure.
I got my first job at a dog daycare, right out of high school. I was like 2000. I graduated 2010, and I literally started like the next month. And from then, I absolutely loved being with more than one dog. Like I was with like 30 dogs, and I would be
Yeah,
perfectly fine in my zone. And they didn't have a groomer, so the attendants had to learn how to do nails and brush and bathe. And from then on, I was hooked. I was like, I
yeah, you're
prefer
all in.
to do that. Yeah, like I prefer to make them look fun and fancy. And then of course from me always studying, like I even traveled across the country sometimes, like New York, LA to like learn from different groomers. I've done like tons of webinars. I spent so much money trying to learn different styles of grooming because unfortunately in Maryland, I felt like we only had like a very surface level style of grooming that I would see. It was just either shave downs or like giving them a haircut, but I wanted something more. So to answer your question, that's where that dream came from.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And it's so funny because as I read in your profile, you talk about was it like Asian
Asian
style?
grooming.
And like you Google some of these, it's like Japanese style, like dog grooming. It's like, okay, this is an art form, right? Like
Yes. Yeah.
people are like making their dogs look like characters out of Minecraft or something. Like
Yeah,
it's just
literally.
kind
And
of
you're
wild.
like, it's a whole new world. Like
Yeah, I like I love the uniqueness of sort of having fun with this kind of things.
yeah.
So you're as I read, you're doing like high end, sort of bringing like at least a high end feel
Yes.
to this. I don't know what your prices are. That's why I'm
Yeah.
hesitant about that. But you're bringing that sort of high end feel. Do you find that when people come to your business, do they feel like, oh, I wasn't expecting it to be like this, or they were expecting, like you're changing the way
Mhm.
they thought it was going to be when they got
Right.
there? If that makes
Right.
sense.
Not really. Because I'm very, like I said, I'm a very transparent person, and I'm also very empathetic because I expect people to be that way towards me.
Mm,
And so I know everyone's dealing with something. However, I do charge my worth. It's just I always let people know upfront the price as soon as they call. And a lot of times it may even be a little bit cheaper, or if there's an upsell, I'll upsell like right then and there. And before I take the dog back, they know the full price. Whatever I quote, that's what they pay. If I
right,
forgot to quote something, that's on me. I do not punish my clients for lack of planning on my part. Because, like I said, that comes from empathy. And I've also been on the other end as a customer, where a lot of businesses would make it like their customers aren't the ones that are bringing them in the money. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And like
Yeah,
it would, especially for dog grooming, I've literally seen where like people don't really care so much about their clients. They just care about the dogs, but the clients are the ones that are bringing those dogs in. The dogs can't bring themselves. If they could, great, but
right.
that's not reality. So, I just always wanted to go beyond just like grooming dogs. Anything I wanted to do, anything I do even now, like I work at my church and I'm 110% in, and that's always how I've been. So, with my business, it was nothing different. A lot of my clients really do not have an issue with my prices. Also, because when I priced, I was very strategic. I wanted to be competitive, but I also wanted to charge my worth, but I also wanted to understand like whatever region I was in, and the demographic. But I'm also very understanding. Like there are some clients who they just may have lost a job or they're going through something, and
Right.
dog grooming is a necessity. Like the dogs have to be groomed. If they're not, they're going to be matted, and mats can cause all kinds of problems. And so I will work with them, and they know that as long as they're honest with me, I'll work with them. Of course, I've had people that will try to take advantage of my kindness. I just won't rebook them. But to answer your question, no, I now that I think about it, being on my own, I don't think I've ever had a problem with someone not, accepting my prices.
Okay. Now you have 27,000 followers online. I got to
Yeah.
imagine, which is incredibly impressive. I
Thank
have to. Yeah, you're welcome. I have to imagine that people are like, they have they're like, oh, okay, this is like, it's kind of cool that like, this is local. Also, it is a
you.
black woman doing it, because I feel like maybe at least the stereotype is that black people are not into this kind of thing.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, I feel like a lot of people have very stereotypical views of like black people and dogs. It's like, oh, do you only groom Rottweilers or something? Like no,
Yeah,
right? I
absolutely.
was like, no,
You hit
thank
it.
you. This is not a right. This is not like a hood classic in the '90s. Like people have expanded out.
Mhm.
But that huge online presence that you have, like, what are things that you've seen from that sort of following that like you weren't expecting, or like, are you hearing from people all over the world, or like, what kind
Yeah.
of stuff do you hear?
Yeah, so funny story. I actually have a few clients that come in from like Dallas, New York, DC.
Wow.
If they're in town, they're gonna call me. And I really appreciate that. But I have learned it's not just the dog grooming, because there are some really great groomers out there.
Sure.
they are mostly, it is a whitewash like industry. So
Right.
I hate to sound like rude, but that's just the honest truth. There's
I mean,
not a
just
lot.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
reality.
there's not a lot of black groomers. So there are some great groomers out there. But I do understand that our people, we love to support each other. And so a lot of times they'll tell me they come specifically for me. And that's what I love because, like I said, coming from someone who I had like no friends in school, I never fit in anywhere, to now there are people who will literally travel to see me when they could go somewhere else,
Right.
is beyond incredible. I'm beyond thankful to God because it has to just be him. Like it cannot be me. Um, I have also had some like negative situations from like social media because there are a lot of people who have dogs that really cannot be handled by strangers,
Mhm.
and they will contact me and want to get in, and then I've literally been like chased by a lady's dog
Oh,
before because yeah, he was like not trained. He was even trying to bite her. And it was unfortunate because she wanted me to record him and post him, which is another thing I get some clients who think that I'm just twiddling my fingers all day and I have all day to just record every single dog, and that's not the case. I literally will record what I can and I post it when I can because at the end of the day, I'm still working and I'm still working with animals who have feelings and they're sensitive, and I can't rush. I have to make sure to produce good quality, and if I'm only focused on social media, that will literally diminish like what I've worked towards.
right. It's like I don't have time to hire a full-time photographer and videographer
Yeah.
to do this work. Right.
Well, it's a
And
little unfair sometimes because they'll be like, did you get to post our recording?" Like, no, I have like 5, 10 dogs today. Like, no, it's just
yeah.
not gonna happen, but I always try to make sure to do it the next time they come in. I just
Mhm.
make it known that it's not gonna be like a guarantee that your dog is gonna be recorded and posted today.
Hmm. Now, do you? I mean, on that account, do you find that social media has exponentially helped the business? I mean, again, 27,000 followers has got to be a
Yes,
pretty nice
yes,
benefit. So how does that translate to sort of getting clients and things like that?
yes, absolutely, because I've grown my clientele organically. And in this industry, it's very competitive, and I've actually had situations where I've been let go from other like salons because of being threatened that I would take clients or something like that.
Wow,
And yeah, yeah, and I've been
you're too
accused of
popular.
and it's like
It's
kind of
crazy.
unfair because there was a place I was at that like I was bringing in really good clientele, and their clients ended up wanting to book with me. But that's something that I feels like a little unfair because I can't help that. Like, I'm not going to diminish my work so that I don't
Right.
get people asking for me. Not in a prideful way, very humble, but just understanding that again, I put 110% into everything I do. And so the clients do follow me, and I really appreciate social media because even though it has its downfalls, it has helped me tremendously because my inbox is pretty much almost full on TikTok. Instagram, I have about 3,000. I only say only, but then as I think about it, I'm like, that's a lot of people. Like, no,
Yeah.
1,000 people following me. That's a lot. And Instagram, surprisingly, is where I get most of my inquiries, even though I have like 3 times more the following on TikTok.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's social media is I guess a double-edged sword, as people would say, right?
Absolutely.
You can pull in people from all over, and they see an image or a video, and they're like, oh my god, I gotta like find this person.
Yeah.
And then there's also people acting ridiculous on there, so it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Even
Um,
if I'm looking up something and I see it's in another state, I kinda get like, "Oh, that sucks," but if I'm there, I'll remember it, so
yeah, that's dope. That's super dope. And you are in Baltimore City. That's
yes,
where people can
yes,
physically find. Okay.
yes.
Um, the other thing I'm very interested in is this idea of inspiring young Black girls into entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Um, I mean, obviously, we talked about why you are doing this and what your
Mhm.
background and things are, but what is your desire, sort of the way you want to leave your mark to inspire these young Black girls that you're referencing?
Right. So I got that idea from my grandmother. I didn't find out until she died, until her funeral, that my grandmother was a horse groomer at the Preakness, and she was training to be one of the
Oh, no
first
kidding.
female black jockeys. Yeah. And she got injured, and that started the whole drug problem. And that inspired me so much because I was like I said, I didn't think there was anyone else in my family who had dreams and goals and ambition. And so I was like, the way I was inspired, I definitely would want to pass that down because the field that I'm in, again, there is not a lot of black people in it in general. If and the ones that are, we are scattered across the country,
Sure.
especially in Baltimore though. Like it's really hard to find. And then also like there's almost seems like to not be a lot of opportunity in Baltimore unless like you're a singer or a really great actress or actor or a comedian or a hairstylist, you know. So I just
Right.
want them to know that there are other career opportunities out there that are different, that are unique, and that are also very rewarding because not only is it rewarding financially, but you're working with dogs. Like you literally get to build a family with these dogs and they literally will remember you. Like I have some dogs who will run from their owners just to come and greet me if they see me outside of the salon. And then not to mention, at least for me, I really love developing relationships with other people, especially black people. And so I've built a community, not just like clients. I literally call them my family. And it's just I just would love other girls to know that, especially black girls, you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. Like there's something else out there for you. And even if it's not dog grooming, I just want them to know that they can make their own lane.
Mhm.
There are people who have way more following than me. There are people who are way more successful than I am. However, I still feel like I'm in my own lane and I'm really enjoying it. And the
Yeah.
same inspiration I
Good.
got from my grandmother, I would love, 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 love to pass that down to other black girls, especially in Baltimore.
Excellent. And this is going to be my last question before we get on the box because I want you to make sure you let folks know. You talk about wanting to launch a nonprofit for homeless
Mhm.
children and for stray pets. Obviously, your background lends to that being a thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like if anyone like started listening to this, you're like, where could this possibly be going in the future? Like that makes that's like a perfect trajectory, right? Like that makes total sense. So, what does that nonprofit look like to you?
To me, it literally I got this idea when I watched like Cat and Dog Hospital. I don't know if anyone remembers that old movie. I'm a 90s kid, if you can tell.
Yeah,
But like
no, I got it.
I I always wanted a nonprofit. It doesn't matter what it is. I want it was either working with like veterans, because I have a huge respect for veterans, but mostly like children. And I also wanted to combine that with like stray animals, because there are other stray animals out there outside of like pit bulls and Rottweilers. And I know the shelters are just full of them because everyone is getting rid of them, but they also have a negative, what am I trying to say? Like a negative reputation, you
Right.
know. And there are some really great pit bulls out there. There are some really great dogs and cats out there who really just looking for a home. They remind me of myself. Like they're overlooked because of their circumstance, but they can be the best dogs ever. So that along with like because I have a child and I used to be one that was like I do not like children, but she's kind of open my she's kind of opened my heart to that. Her, my niece and nephew absolutely love me. I have two sets of niece and nephews, and I don't know, I just really think about the children who don't have that love, who don't have that support, who every child loves dogs. I went to my daughter's school and I did a career day, and there was an NBA player there. But out of all the other careers, the favorite one out of for the kids was me, which is a dog groomer. I was
That's
so
hilarious.
yes, I cracked up because I was like, Oprah, an NBA player? Like that makes no sense, you know.
Yeah,
But
but you
they're
get to hang out with dogs all day. Like for
yeah,
kids, that's like the
exactly.
coolest job.
Exactly, to
Yeah.
children, that's they love dogs, they love animals because it's cuddly, it's cute,
Yeah.
and so that's where that idea came from, was like, how can I combine the 2? Like I told you, I'm always thinking of, like, business ideas. I
Right.
also said, I wonder if there's, like, a career in that field of, like, constantly developing other businesses, It's something
Yeah,
I would want.
they're called investors.
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you have it like that. So
Exactly.
that's literally like my gears is still turning, and I look to this day, I'm always writing something down. Like I
Yeah.
woke up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock, had an idea for the nonprofit, and I wrote it down.
No, but that's I mean, that sort of inspiration does
Yeah,
matter, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah. No, that's dope. I think I'll use this opportunity to get on the box here. But um I mean, look, I think dog grooming, whether that is like your thing, if you're into it, if you like dogs, if you like pets at all, some people are not dog fans, what
Right.
have you, those crazy people out there. Um, but what I think is a great thing to take away from your story is you started in what I would argue is one of the rougher aspects of life, right? I mean,
Yeah.
just you said you were homeless multiple times,
Mhm.
to the point of starting your own business. And I think everybody can understand that. That is the connection that I think people can have with you, and taking a passion that you had, like, I love pets and I love dogs and stuff like that, and not just saying, I love those things. All right, let me just go through life, but taking
Right.
that and making that into something and showing people
Exactly.
that you can create something. So I think that in and of itself is very remarkable. And look,
Thank
I look forward to hearing about your nonprofit or your other 3 a.m. business ideas that you're coming up with. I think that's dope. You clearly have you have a mind for that. So look,
Thank you.
I would tell everybody, check out House Pets, or excuse me, yes,
House.
House Pups
Mhm.
Pet Spa and Boutique in Baltimore. I think that's really dope. Just because Iesha White is clearly a serial entrepreneur, and I'm a huge fan of that. So it is now your turn to be on the box. So go for it.
Oh, to be on the box?
Yeah, you go. Let people know.
Oh, okay, about Hauspups. So yeah, like you said, Hauspups is a pet boutique and spa. It's just a spa right now. And I also wanted to acknowledge that like coming into a business or starting a business, this is like my third time starting. So I never want anyone to think like if they start and it doesn't work out the first time that they give up right then and there. Uh, I am a heavy perseverer. Sometimes like I'm wondering like why do I keep trying this? But it's like I said, it's very rewarding, and there are times where, especially owning a business, you're going to have to start over, or there's going to be lots of knockdowns. Um, and I just want to encourage like other people, especially other Black women in the community, to understand and know like you you can have a system behind you. It's just do not give up because it gets hard, but like I said, it's very rewarding. And so I can do anything from like Asian fusion to creative grooming, which is like coloring the dogs. So if you see like red and blue and purple dogs or stuff like that, I actually was gonna
Right.
start advertising that because I want to get more into the creative grooming. And so I am in Baltimore right now. I'm out of Homewood Pet Resort, so I'm collaborating with them, and that's in Catonsville.
Mhm.
And I don't have the address on me, but it's Wilkins Avenue, and it is in Catonsville, and I can get you the phone number.
And we can put that in the show notes for folks who want to watch this
Yeah,
back.
yeah. So it's 410-568-8273. And again, it's on Wilkins Avenue. And they're really nice too. Like I really enjoy collaborating with other like vet hospitals. The Village Vet is one that I also work with.
I
They
used to go there. Yeah.
yeah. So I used to work there, and Dr. Barry was like a dad to me, and now I take my dog there just as a client, and he's always like, "You were the best receptionist we've ever had," because I was a
Yeah, it's fun.
receptionist, well, sometimes doing like a little tech work, and to this day, like my daughter wants to be a veterinarian, work there, so I like to send most of my, if not all of my clients, I would love all of them to go there, but I know it's a little out of range. But yeah, I have so many plans for the future. I would love to grow like my social media account. Um, Not so much for the publicity, but more for the recognition of what is possible in Baltimore, because I know we have sometimes a bad reputation.
Sure.
So yeah, yeah, that's about it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Iesha, for finding the time to sit down with us. Like that was
Absolutely.
dope. I
Looks like
appreciate
we're
that.
like right in time.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. And that's awesome. Village Vet used to be right around the corner from my old house.
Yes. Yes, Kendall is like my absolute favorite.
I love that place. They were very good to me. Okay, so thank you for coming on. Again, this is the Chicken Box, brought to you by the Afro, the Black Media Authority, celebrating over 132 years of Black news, where Black lives have always mattered.
Yes,
All right.
awesome. Thank
All
you
right.
so much for having me.
Absolutely. And we will see you guys next week.
All righty.